Enrollment.
Enrollment.
Oh, enrollment is the public school such. I'll start it over.
Yeah, do it one more time.
The reason charter schools are eating away at enrollment is the public schools suck. That is not right, people.
I believe that education is a right. It's a right for all. It's entrance. It's the way to enter into a high-paying job, a quality job, opportunity to be able to care for your family. And I think when it's not given the attention that it needs, I think that the whole system, the whole country suffers.
Our education is important because that's like a necessity. That's like saying, why is your oxygen important? To survive within our society, we need education to go further.
I kind of think a lot of times that they think about, if you grew up in the Lehigh, North Philly, then you're not going to make it anywhere or do anything.
I would say if you live somewhere in it's a bad neighborhood or you live in poverty, that's where you're going to end up going most of the times. And you're going to end up having a bad quality education.
I think that when they see someone from a zip code from North Philly, they're automatically going to think, oh, this person is a problem, or he's going to come in and disturb the flow of things. So we are judged by our zip code. I do believe that.
But I don't think it's really a big race thing, like, honestly.
The suburban areas, I believe that they have better neighborhood schools because, I don't know, I think it does come down to race. I really don't want to go too deep into that because, I feel...
It's your prerogative. Yeah, totally. And, yeah.
I would say that race comes down to how you feel about it. Yeah, there's whites, there's blacks, and there's Asians. And Asians are perceived to be the smartest, correct? Right? Mm-hmm. And it comes down to for lack of better words, you're like, oh, I'm dumb.
As parents who are part of the city, as working people who are part of the city, as taxpayers as part of the city, I think it's not fair for those who dedicate themselves daily and then still don't have their assurance that their child will get a quality education.
I believe that all parents, whether black, brown, or other, want what's best for their children. No parent wants their child to be uneducated.
A good classroom looks like when you go inside and you see kids are actually interacting with other kids, not just the teacher, not just the teacher standing in front of a board, teaching a class or writing on the board and everybody is copying.
I think a lot of the qualities of a good school revolve around community. I think that I really believe in the neighborhood school for younger kids up through 8th grade.
The children around, especially in the neighborhoods or even in the school itself, majority of them are bad. They don't actually appreciate what they have, nor do they appreciate their education. So in my opinion, they're just lost.
That sense of community. I'm looking for a principal who's open to the community, parents who are involved with the school.
Perfect example is, I think it was last year, where there was a situation at the corner store.
Obviously, good teachers, academics.
It was two kids. One of them, I think, was 18, the other one was 16. And the 18-year-old had a shotgun. He shot through the door and killed the owner.
I want my children to learn But I want them to learn more than just academics. I want them to learn what the world is like and how to live among all kinds of people.
So my daughter doesn't know anyone around here, and I want to keep it that way. I want her to actually, become a better person, not see the violence, not see, what actually goes on in the neighborhood. I want her to be above that.
Like 2 years ago, I got laid off from my job. I had to tell you within context. Got laid off from my job. I was administrator for a special needs program for a 5-county area, so I'm used to being very busy. And I'm going to be a little transparent. After I lost my job, over those 2 years, my life went through a drastic downward spiral. And I'm currently making less than what I've ever made since in my adult life with more children. And I had found myself into the system and had a better understanding of what our parents and, families of color are going through, because I kind of was out of that loop. Like, I don't know, food stamps and all this other stuff. Like, what is that about? But when it put myself in a position where I had to go apply for medical assistance for my children and food stamps for me to be able to make it off when my unemployment was cut off because I was unable to find a job. And I'm sorry, I might get a little teared up because this is a serious experience, serious part of this conversation. And my daughter had to leave college and she went to the military. Like, all these things were hard decisions that somebody had to make when you're going from being, moving towards middle class as a single woman with children to back into low to moderate and being stereotyped when you go apply for food stamps and the way people talk to you and are disrespectful in the experience, where you have to constantly fight for something that's rightfully mine. Like, I worked for 30 years, 30 years, paid into the system, and you mean to tell me that I have to argue with you about food stamps and call a supervisor over small things? Or you telling me that I'm lazy and I don't want to work? That wasn't my story. So I can only imagine what the experience is like for some of my mothers in my neighborhood who don't have an MBA. I think politicians believe that we don't want anything, that everybody in certain neighborhoods are okay with the status quo. And I don't believe that's true. I think sometimes people are just weighed down by the fight.
In order to fix the education system, you first need to find students that genuinely want to be educated.
I believe that there is a system in place that kind of like locks us out, and it expects us to end up, we're like the black man, the black persona, we're expected to end up in jail, like based on our state test scores. I think it's like 3rd, 2nd grade. They already prepare rooms for you.
The American myth that, this like here I go. It's like a new form of slavery. You keep certain people down. And I really don't really get into detail with stuff like this, but you keep a certain population of people down just to control them.
Somebody in my neighborhood graduated college, came back to the neighborhood, and nothing happened. No congratulations, nothing. And when his friend came home from prison, it's a whole block party.
And I'm not a big speaker of the man and all that, I don't really go there. But if you eliminate job creation, there's no job creation, so people aren't working. You're undereducating our kids.
That way, when you fail your test, when you can't get a job,
then you're going to target our young black men, starting from 10 if you're tall.
They feel as though for African American they're only going to resort to killing and robbing.
Pushing them into a life of incarceration. When I say that, I'm saying like you could be walking down the street, stopping frisk, you're bad just because you're black, you know, white is right.
And like they spend so much money in the jails, and that's where all the money is at. So they expect us to end up there. That's why I feel like the school system is so bad, because they want us to fall right in line with their system.
If you can invest $40,000 a year on an inmate, and you only invest $7,000 or less on a child to educate per year, I have a problem with that. If you can spend billions of dollars to build prisons and you are closing schools, I have a problem with that.
The only thing that could possibly improve PSD is to shut down and privatize. The students will still be dumb and motivated, but the taxpayers will spend a lot less.